I expect this video to be shorter than my usual videos because really it's just touching on a topic that I don't think a lot of people really are speaking about. And I just wanted to raise a little awareness, really. So, there's so many sides to me. There's a side that's like intelligent. I'm good at personal growth, development, overcoming trauma, independence, setting boundaries, all these different things, really, just to elevate my own life personally and focus on growth. But there's also a very spiritual side. And I've had experiences that are unique for myself. And we'll all go through life having our own unique experiences. Some things will like merge. Like, so might have an experience with other people, so you'll share something. And other times it might just be just something for you. And it's not really about having to convince anyone of anything. You can't deny yourself an experience if you've experienced it, and you can't necessarily convince someone of an experience you've had when they haven't had that experience. So it's really about just being authentic to yourself and focus on your own growth and development. And if you have like effectively even a supernatural experience, it's like that experience was for you. Otherwise, if it was for other people, they'd have had that. So it's understanding those little things. So I've had a lot happen to me on my journey, for good and bad. But as you can see right now, it's I'm not really someone who gets caught up in anything that's bad. I just learn the lesson and figure it out and keep persevering. I don't really let things weigh me down and keep me low. So I just wanted to draw upon something here. It's merges between religion and spirituality. So I see an awful lot of this content lately. I say a lot. I see a few bits, and of course we've seen it in the past. Most people would have seen it somewhere or other, where you get someone preaching on the street and people get really angry. Now I can understand someone intrudes on your space. You're trying to have a relaxing time, or you're just trying to get by. And then you've got people with like megaphones and all sorts of shit, and it's just I can understand that. It's an invasion of like your space. So yeah, there is a time and a place, and I do think some of these people they do it on purpose. Some do this to incite reactions, so then they can seem like they're being all the high and mighty, and they're on the good side of the Lord, if you like. Some are doing it genuinely to open people's eyes to it, and they just want to spread the word and consider it love. But I think there's ways you deliver the message as to whether you're conveying love or whether you're just trying to antagonize. So there are obviously nuances to it, but there's ways in which you can react to it too. So regardless of whether someone's doing it to antagonize or whether they're doing it to just inspire love, your reaction to it really is all that matters when it comes to the interaction, So like, for instance, you could turn a blind eye to it and just leave the area and just let the person be. If the person's annoying you and you consider them an idiot, you could just leave them to be an idiot. You really don't have to put them in their place every time. You don't have to get angry. These are feelings that you're feeling, and these are things that are actually causing you to react. So when we create a narrative in our mind and we have a choice whether we decide just to either back down or walk away or just preserve our peace, that's a choice. If we make a decision to interact and just start getting more angry and it starts to affect our ego, that's a choice too. And we've got to consider what is sort of forcing those decisions. What instigates that? Sometimes it could just be sort of like just an imbalance, just a slight imbalance, essentially one way, but also it can be an influence. And that's the part I want to just talk upon here. So, look, as I said, this guy's got his account's a lot bigger than I assumed it would be. So I've just checked his account. He's got over 100,000 followers. And again, some people do it for attention. So there are reasons people do it. I'm not saying why they do it. I'm just saying obviously could be multiple reasons, and it may very well just be antagonizing, because there's a few of these that do this. Like personally, I don't feel you need to thrust the love of God into people's faces on a habitual basis. Like, I'll talk about my spirituality. I'll talk about the experience I had, and I think it's important to live a life that's balanced. And it isn't taking advantage of people. So there's a purity to it, and I think that's important. I had a conversation recently, and I was talking, like, saying I could be really good at sales. I have no doubt about that. I've been approached before about sales and things, and I know I'd be good with those things, but my principles are such that I could not upsell someone something. So, like, for instance, I couldn't make someone poor at my expense. I couldn't be driving a flashy sports car while someone to have that, someone has had to live a very horrible life because I've exploited them or something. That's not going to happen with me. So my morals are intact. I won't do things like that. It's just morals matter. And I think some people just don't have the morals and it doesn't matter. They just focus on self-preservation. They really don't care about the collateral damage. And I just think, for me personally, that's a disgusting attitude, but to each their own. So we're all at different vibrations. So we can, it's the things we do can either be due to literally ourselves, but like I said, there can be an influence. And that could be an influence from other people, but it can also be negative entities. And it's something that a lot of people just don't talk about. I'm aware of it. And I don't, personally, like, there's so many angles I can go with this. I don't place myself purposely in places that are low vibrational. And like, I've learned a lot as I've grown. I've come across very, very gifted people who have opened my eyes even further. I'm not a gullible, susceptible person, so you can't just easily influence me. I have to feel it in my soul. And when I recognize something I consider true, I will follow that and I will sort of like figure it out. So I'll put the dots together, but because I'm always inquisitive. But, I'm not someone that just follows a path just because it interests me or I want to do it. It's like I have to feel it in me that it is pure. So I'm just trying to think where I was going with that. Wait a minute. Yeah, anyway, so we can be influenced by negative entities. There was somewhere I was going with that. It's really annoying because I've just lost my train of thought. I don't think I'm going to be able to catch it. It's going to be annoying because it's one of those videos now where I watch the video back and I go, I just missed a whole freaking section that I wanted to delve into. Yeah, it's really thrown me off. And it's not like something where I can go back and watch it, unfortunately, as you recalled. No, I'm not going to be able to catch it because I can't remember what I was saying. And it's really annoying me because I bet it was something good. But either way, like we can have entities attached to us effectively. And you might be aware of it, you might not be aware of it. I had my own experience back in 2023. I had a very gifted medium channel, the angelic realm, and even Archangel Michael. I'm not going to say what my path is because I talk about it a lot, and it's like it's for me to figure out, and it's for me to fulfill whatever purpose I have. So things happen to us, whether consciously, subconsciously, unconsciously, and sometimes a lot of things in life are lessons. That's it. So anyway, before we go there, I don't want to dive in. I don't put myself in places that are low vibrational, and I've learned that along my path. But it's quite interesting. I didn't place myself in those places when I was younger either. So, I might have done in very small moments, but it was never comfortable, and I never liked it. I never embraced it, if you like. So that's quite interesting because those low vibrationals are where negative entities would attach to people. So if you see people who take substance abuse or they go nightclubs, they just go drinking all the time. These are places where they consider themselves having fun, but it's usually a distractive fun. It's usually something where it's fun for a period, but there's a lot of hassle that happens there. All sorts of problems, and it's just like, is it worth the hassle? And those are areas where people are easily exploited by negative entities because your vibration is lower in those environments. So where I said I've had experiences, I've been to a nightclub, didn't enjoy it. I've been to pubs, don't enjoy it. So I've had the experience of going to those places, never truly enjoyed it, so never embraced it. So I've had people when I'm younger, like work colleagues and that, say, come and do this, come and do that. And it's like, meet us there at 10 o'clock. I'm like, I ain't going out at 10 o'clock. I don't do that shit. I'm not interested in the nightlife. I've never had an interest in it. And effectively, when you think about it, that's when all the problems happen. Not all the problems, but majority of problems happen at night. So there's an inherent understanding of that. It's not like you're scared to go out at night if you've got to go somewhere, but it's like an inherent that more likely that something's going to happen at that period of time because that's really when all the chaos ensues. It's almost like people who have morals and integrity and all those things. It's like they're doing activities during the day, so everybody blends together, and you can't. It's like almost like most people. The majority of the chaos, it can't really happen during the day because too many eyes are on it. But once all the normal people are home and in their solitude and peace, it's like this. It's like the outside world is a breeding ground for chaos at night. That's effectively what it's like, really, isn't it? It's a minefield. I'm just sharing that a little bit there, just to put that into perspective, because I think that's really important. That there are low vibrational places, and it's interesting who hangs out at those. And I say that a lot in a different way, without me bringing the spirituality onto it. I will often say things like that, like if your life is upside down, and maybe it's always chaotic and it's always toxic, and you're always meeting the wrong people. You have to consider where you're meeting those people and where you're placing yourself. So on a personal growth and development situation, that just stands to reason. Is quite apparent, isn't it? If you have repeat cycles and you meet the same sort of people, you have to have a level of accountability of yourself as to where you're placing yourself, where you're meeting people. And if you want a different life, you have to change your freaking environment. It's just obvious. But on a spiritual level, that also makes sense, doesn't it? Because that's where an awful lot, if you're meeting people in toxic environments, low vibrational circumstances, and you continue to meet the same sort of people, they've got the similar attachments. It's just a similar portion of the population, So they might have different personalities to a degree, but they all got the same habits. So, and potentially the same demons. It's like, do you know what I mean? So we don't always have to layer the spirituality, but once you add the layers, it all makes sense. So, but many of us have heard of exorcisms and things like that, and it's like they seem quite wild, don't they? We've seen it glamorized in the movie industry and things, and you hear the stories. And that goes all the way back into ancient times. So it comes from somewhere. And when you see these preachers on the street getting reactions, I can't help but think it's very similar to an exorcism. People are walking around with, I'm not saying they're demons, but it's an easy way to make it understandable. But we can have negative entities attached to us. You can have demons. You can have malevolent, mischievous, dark entities. They don't necessarily. So there's just like in the. This is going to confuse some people, especially those that aren't spiritual. In the astral realms, where spirit and source are, there are different entities on the light and dark. So, the way I like to look at it is like different echelons. There's different characteristics. Everybody has a role in the same way we do on Earth. And it's understanding each has a specific skill set. And eventually you can elevate and master that, and then maybe you go on to do something else. And that's quite beautiful. Of course, that takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of evolution, and it's not necessarily something that majority will ever do in spirit, So you've got your spirit guides. So those are the ones that are just guiding you on this path. So like you can need assistance to achieve your targets. So to break it down to spirituality a little bit here, I'm going to try my best, even though I'm completely digressing. We all come here with soul contracts. We all decide to be here for a reason. It's like a lot of the things I hear, and it's like some of the things I hear, and I take it on board, and I have goosebumps. I get a lot of feelings around things, and then I'll hear other people, and it's like these things happen, and sometimes I have visions of myself, and I have my own experiences. But it's worth listening as well to others. Dolores Cannon made a point that like Earth is the most dense playground in the universe. It's the hardest lessons for all of us. It will challenge every soul. But at this change, there's a precipice of change that's happening on Earth at the minute. She was comparing it to the new Earth. So that's where it's almost like a new semblance of being from an elevated state of consciousness and stuff. And it's like, but the low vibrational is getting split from the high vibrational. So it seems like a new Earth where you're both going to be on different Earths, but it's literally just the way I perceive it is a different existence. Those who have got away with being negative for so long, it's like their life is going to unravel, and it's just going to be, you're not going to gain from the things you used to gain from. And those that are high vibrational, it'll become things will magnetize with relative ease, and then it starts to wash away all that negativity. So they'll have to grow and evolve or stay what they're doing. Anyway, it's a very basic example of that. So on the astral, we have spirit guides who will literally guide us to help us fulfill our soul contracts. So soul contracts were decided before we come here. Some will have small soul contracts, some will have huge soul contracts, and it's not a competition. And that's why I talk an awful lot about the fact that people just always competing with each other. There's so much jealousy and envy. But for what? It's not about trying to sort of glamorize someone else's soul contract, someone else's dreams, progression, and path. It's not. What is fulfilling to someone else may not be fulfilling to the other person. So effectively, if it's not your soul contract, you're literally wasting time and energy chasing someone else's dream. Effectively, it's important that you finish all your soul contracts. So when your time on Earth is done, you will see a light. You will go back into Source. You will be greeted by ancestors that loved you. There will be a very prominent angel who will greet you and then give you an end of life review. And I've heard so many stories of this, and it all sort of merges into one, and it makes sense to me. And it's like that's what I understand. And they will show you the things you did good and the things you did bad, and you will feel all of that. So you'll feel so much love from all the things, the lovely experiences you had, and the good causes. You'll also feel the pain from those that you hurt and the suffering that ensued. And then you will go through a decompression where you get comfortable being back in your purest self, which is in spirit. So you have to detox from the earthly attachment that you was so attached to, and get and transition back. And then your soul will evolve, and it will go on to different experiences, and that may be in different. It may not be. You may even have another life on Earth at another later date, or a different star system, a different place, depending on what the experience you need to learn and evolve. So, with that in mind, a lot of the things people do in life is kind of waste of time, isn't it? With that understanding, it's a complete waste of time what people do. Sometimes it's just unreal, isn't it? And so they can be so negative, and it's like you're just really wasting your experience, because we start this experience at a certain frequency, depending on where your soul derives at. So, I get a lot. I'm not getting. I get a lot. I have a unique understanding that I have a high vibrational soul. So it's hard to manipulate me. It's hard to just, I can't be swayed. I'm too headstrong. I'm too resilient. So when I go back to source, I'd expect to evolve, and I don't know where I rank on that side. I don't know what I'm here to do. I get goosebumps around things, but I'm not going to keep sharing those. It's quite exciting for me. I do get told, like, if we're going to talk about spirituality in essence, I've had sessions with people, and it has been confirmed that this is potentially my last lifetime. Unless I was told through a channeling session of Archangel Michael that if I choose to have another life, I can. But literally, this is the last one I have to do. So that would suggest I'm at the end of a timeline here of my soul evolution. I'm very evolved. I'm getting goosebumps now, but I'm not going to touch on that much more, because that's my journey, not someone else's, So with all that understanding, we return at certain frequencies. So if you do bad things in this life, and maybe you wasn't a bad soul, so let's say your soul was a certain frequency, you've come here, you've completely messed it up, you will then drop frequencies on the astral realm, and it means you're going to have to go through more cycles to eradicate the waste you did last time. And if you go too low, you end up on the darker side of it. You end up on the negative frequency, which is where you're going to find which would be the contrast between heaven and hell. You're going to find negative entities, demonic entities, and all those things. And so you really don't want to be there. So you really need to focus on being positive in your life, and having compassion and things like this. You need to find ways to love, and especially embrace self-love. That's where it's going to come from first. Because if you can't love yourself, you definitely can't love someone else. It has to start there. So this is just really important video. It's going to go longer than I thought. I thought it was going to go short. So anyway, so let's say we've got the spirit guides. Then we've got the sort of guardian angels. Then we've got angels. Then we've got ascended masters. Then we've got archangels. Then we've got the council of light, which is effectively God, and all these things. And there may even be more subsets that I'm not even aware of, But from the base of it, the spirit guides are sort of like helping us navigate this lifetime so we can fulfill our soul contracts. So they put things in our place. They might set up set pieces to help us bring people into our life, push us towards something that's supposed to align. Or maybe we've seen sign synchronicities to help keep our minds on track, to keep us motivated, things like that. But they can't actually intervene in our life. They can't do something to save us, if you like. They can just give you the signs. So that's why it's important to follow your intuition. If you're walking down the street and you have a real strong feeling, I shouldn't go that way, I'm going to go this way. It doesn't matter if anyone else understands it. It's like follow your intuition, because it may very well be something bad was going to happen down that way, and you was being guided to go this way. And there's a reason for all of that, Now, so they can't intervene if you did go down the wrong path, but guardian angels can. So a guardian angel can actually push you away from danger. And I've had a few instances in my life where things have happened. I wouldn't say life, but then you don't know. I mean, maybe there were life-changing events, but other times it's something smaller, and they've just stopped me being hurt, because I've had certain things, even something as simple as a fly. I had a workplace, a fly was buzzing around me, and it just dropped dead on the floor out of nowhere. And it was like, wow, that's crazy. And I had another one where I had a scanner that I was working in the warehouse, and someone did this, and it come flying off, and apparently it was coming straight at me. And the guy I was chatting to, because there's like 3 or 4 of us, And whoever I was chatting to, he's like, whoa. And I was like, what's, like, what? He said, that was about to hit you. That was literally about to hit you in the head or something. And it literally just bounced away from you. Like you got a shield around you or something. That was crazy. That's about 2020, I think, 2020. So it's not that long ago. So anyway, these are little things. And that, I would suggest that's potentially guardian angels. Then we have the angels, of course, which we're all aware of, which, you know, they watch over and they protect on a bigger stage. And then we've obviously got the ascended masters. So you've got people like Yeshua, Jesus. You've got Buddha. I'm not aware of all of the ascended masters, but these are obviously the most prominent ones that we're aware of. And you would say they are sort of beacons of peace. You know, and you look at them and they can't be tainted. They can't be altered. You know, they are. It's almost like Yoda in Star Wars. So yeah, they are purity. And then we have the archangels who have to fight on all behalf of all that is good, you know, for the light. And they are really, really powerful. And again, their morals are really high too, aren't they? They can't be swayed. And then, of course, Council of Light reside over everything. They know all. They know all of what encompasses history, the future, the present, all of our lives in an intricate detail. And then there is a suggestion of Akashic records, which holds all of everything within the universe. It's all knowledge. So there is that. And now, of course, all of that we have would be conversely, on the other side, there would be the opposites. So you'll have archdemons, which most of us wouldn't even been aware of in the past. Like the idea that there's an archdemon. We all hear archangels, not archdemons. So there are demons that are just as powerful as the archangels. But from my understanding, Archangel Michael is the strongest angel. You know, that doesn't mean they don't have the handful. Because they're quite benevolent, you know, mischievous. And the thing when you think about the dark side, negative entities, you'd naturally just think stupid because they're negative, but they're not. They're actually very mischievous and intelligent, so they know how to manipulate you. So anyway, so every subset on that side is on the other side. So people will be walking around with attachments to them. And when you think of an exorcism, you're trying to remove a demonic entity from you. Now, it is usually a really powerful demon, which is why it's requiring such power to eradicate it from the vessel or from it being attached. Because possession is, you know, it's really, really huge. So when these people are reacting in the street and they're getting really angry at someone who's trying to preach the word of God, it stands to reason that underlying that, they have potential attachments. Not saying they're possessed, because that takes a huge thing to just possess a body, but they can literally be in their energy field and aura and manipulate and causing confusion and causing them distress and causing them to be reactive to things. So it's a very good chance that these people that keep getting angry at this situation, rather than walk away, literally walk around with attachments to them, which means that anybody that comes into contact with them needs to be higher vibration and protecting themselves. Now, most people don't know how to protect themselves. Every night, I kid you not, every night before I go to sleep, at the bare minimum. Now, you should be doing things, and I've put it in my book, where you're supposed to put imagine a light shield around you, a bubble of light. And there are other things you can do too to reinforce that, but that's really important. But as a very basic level, I always say before I'm going to bed, and I do it in my mind. I don't say it out loud because I'm not. I don't do everything out loud. I was about to say lunatic, but you know, I don't do everything out loud and verbalize it. I can do it in my mind. It's fine. They can hear that. I always say angels and spirit guides, and I always say please because I'm very courteous. You know, there's no reason to be rude. So I always say angels and spirit guides. My angels and spirit guides, please come close and protect me. And I always feel it. I said it now, and I've just got goosebumps on my arms, and I always feel this energy around me that wasn't there before I said that. So they surround me, and I know they do. So as a bare minimum, they're there. So if anything's going to target me or attack me, especially in your sleep when you're at your most vulnerable, because that's literally when people think you're just going to sleep, you're just having a dream. You can literally be going to the astral where spirit resides, and you could be having all sorts of experiences that you just perceive as a dream. And that's why sometimes we have experiences. So in that sense, by doing that and calling them in and protecting me, it means that when I'm asleep, I'm at my most vulnerable, they're aware of whatever's going to happen because they're with me. You know, and that's a really important state. So that's what we should be doing. So you're not going to be able to go through life without bumping into people that have attachments, because first of all, you're never going to always know who's got an attachment. You may never know who's got an attachment. And the problem is they can be then attracted to you. So that attachment then attaches to you, and now you've got a problem. So I'm going to just share one example, which I showed last. I did at the time, to be honest. I might as well talk about it again. So back in 2023, only 2 years ago, I went on a holiday around about April, May of 2023. I'd gone on a holiday to Crete, Greece. I can't remember exactly what was going on around that time in my life. I think I was feeling a little bit disjointed. I was thinking about like relationships that, there's someone I liked, and it's like, it wasn't a relationship, but I wanted to have answers to things. I just wanted clarity on my future and my life. I'd already by that point been doing tarot cards. I've been elevating my spirituality. So I thought I knew a lot about what I was doing, and I didn't realize I was tapping into mediumship abilities. Now I've got a lot of abilities, and I'm not going to sort of discuss it here. A lot I haven't untapped. I haven't really delved deep enough in. But I can get visions when I focus, and I get answers, and I get all sorts of things, Trying to think where the hell I was going. Yeah, so I've tried to channel mediumship, and I didn't even know I was doing it, because it was like so that was May, and then I had all sorts of things happening in my life between that period and November. I left a job, but there was always like all these issues surrounding my personal life and things, and it was always annoying. And then I met a very gifted medium through chance. Well, it actually seemed like chance, but I've no doubt it was placed on my path by the end. And they can do energy cleansing, they can see things, and it was incredible. And it was told that I have the same abilities as them. They're just further along on their development, So these are things that can unlock in my lifetime, or they may not, depending on my life path and what I decide to do. But I have the potential for that. So he was doing a check, and he actually picked up on a few things. Like I had an issue with my knee, and he pointed that out. I had a problem, and he did something down my tooth. He pointed that out, which I'm getting sorted now. And there were a few other little things, but these are things they hadn't known before. So it's like, wow, how the hell do you know about that? And they said about your feet being cold, and I was like, okay, I've got a blood circulation thing. But that was weird. Like literally every little ailment he picked up on without being told, because I never told him anything. There was a time when before he did all that, he couldn't get through, and he didn't understand. He'd never had it happen before. I said, I don't understand. He said, yeah, you've got a block on you. I can't read you. So I literally had to subconsciously, I had to go into and I had to give permission. How weird is that? I didn't even understand any of that at that time. I was like, wow, okay. But anyway, so he was doing that, and then he recognized something shadowing me. There was something shadowing my energy, my aura, and it was a negative entity that was shadowing me. And apparently it was laughing at me, thinking I know everything. But I hadn't known about protection at the time. And as soon as I raised that issue later on in another video, it actually attacked me. I felt heavy, and I felt a little bit disorientated, and it felt strange. And it was definitely something trying to assert dominance on me. But, I just stood up and just thought, I'm not putting up with this shit. So I messaged the person, and then they tapped in. And, and then it was all dealt with. Archangel Michael did the removal. But from a session, I'm just talking about this is what happened with me. So whether people believe it is relevant. That individual asked Archangel Michael, like, why did you allow that to happen? Or why did you let that stay on him? Like, why did you, for all that time? Because I was really pissed off about it, because I was like, that's not right. Like, why would they do that? Okay, but maybe I wasn't aware of something, but why risk that? Why risk a real dark negative entity? I don't know if it was quite demonic. I'm not sure it was that level, but it was very powerful. It had power. And it was suggested to me that it was being monitored. And as soon as it tried to hurt me, they would have dealt with it, and they did deal with it. So as soon as it attacked me, it was dealt with. So that was interesting. From what was said to me was that angels were constantly feeding me energy to counter the negative that the other thing was trying to do. The angels were pumping energy into me to neutralize it. Archangel Michael allowed it because he was teaching me a lesson. It was a hard lesson, but he wanted to show me the harsh reality of it all. So I take it serious. So anyway, that's my experience, and I had that experience. And my daughter kept having things happening at home, and I'm not going to go too deep into all this, but she had things always. It was always like negative things. She always had bad throat, always had this and this and this. And I can't remember exactly how it come to be, but she's got gifts too, and I'm not going to go into hers. That's her prophecy. But yeah, I was told that she has things attached to her. I think there was that medium that told me. So I got someone who's very gifted. I'm going to show who this person is because they are really gifted. And anyone that sort of questions them, they don't have a clue about this guy's gifts. I hired him. I was told to read his books. And because I know of his gifts, I hired him to do a remote entity removal for my daughter. And I'm not going to go too deep into that, but she had a lot of energetic attachments that were trying to silence her, trying to keep her low, trying to keep her from being happy, from thriving. And she's very gifted in her own spiritual stuff. Okay, we're not going to go too deep with that, but what I want to say is since then, her life has been thriving. She's got a new friend group. She's literally happy. She's doing things. She's actually thriving. It's crazy. Witnessing the change has been remarkable. So again, I'm not here to convince anyone of anything. I'm just sharing part of my journey. And because it's personal to her, I'm not going to go too deep into that. But people should check him out. So this is David Warfer. Now, he's not look, I'm not going to be rude, but in terms of the way we communicate and deliver, he's very direct. Like if you think I'm direct, he's direct. But he knows what he's talking about. He experiences things. I'd say read his books. His name's David Warfer. He talks about ghost removal, but this is a very early stage. He's just trying. He keeps it very basic for the average person. But believe me, he's seen things and he knows how to remove things. This is just a very basic level of removal. Is literally he's just saying you tell whatever entities around you to go away, and you just firm with it. But that's just very basic. There are times when he's going to have to call in very, very powerful spirits to help do removals and things. It's not always going to be a case of just speaking things out loud, but it's a good start. So yeah, I saw someone comment yesterday on his video, and I just thought, you don't have a clue who he is, do you? And he's only got a small handful of followers too, you know, and it's just crazy to me. But like I've said in one of my books, Please Mind If I Find Your Soul, check his book out because I was told to read it, and it had things about protections and things. But I'll show how direct he is. You can hear him here.
How do you remove an unwanted ghost or spirit from your house? The first step is simply to ask it to leave. And you ask it with power and with intent.
So I'm not going to go too deep there, but you can see it's very direct, very like this. It's very abrupt. So yeah, I think if his delivery was a little bit more fluid, I think he would reach bigger audiences, but at the same time, I don't think we're all here to be articulate. He's more here to just take action. And he like he said, he did the removal for my daughter, and I think I've seen the results. For me, that's worked. But like I say, when you consider all of that, and then you see people getting reactive to anybody that preaches the word of God on the street, you think, why would you get reactive to that degree? I can understand if it's bothering you trying to eat dinner. That's an annoyance. But beyond that, it's like, just get on with your day and move on. Like, why have you got to approach and get angry? It's because you potentially got attachments. So I've already had an attachment to me, and it was done purposely. Right. My daughter's had things to her, and it's caused her misery. And then it's been removed, fortunately. If you're worried about having attachments, like I said, David Wolfer there, check him out. You know, he will be able to do a check on you, and he'll be able to help you cleanse it. And I'm not here to upsell shit. I'm not a lunatic that just starts trying to get people to waste money. But I think everybody should have that done because most people don't even know it exists. So you don't know what things are handicapping you. Like I wouldn't be surprised if I got things affecting my finances because they're always tough. But I just refuse to allow anything to... It's like I could hire someone to do a check on that side of things for me, but there's a part of me that is so... I'm trying to think of the word. It's just I'm headstrong. It's like I want to beat whatever it is myself. That's the thing. I don't want to... In that sense, yeah, I'm not letting... If something's bad, I'll figure it out myself, and I'm going to... Even if it takes years of struggle, if something's stopping me, I will figure it out. And I will fight it myself. That's my plan. But it'd be a lot easier if I just did a check and just got someone to do it for me. But the other things, yeah, I thought I might do that frequently. But at the moment, I feel quite fresh in myself, so I don't feel a need to do that. Like I've had my cleansing there. I take things serious. You know, sometimes I lapse on a few things because it's not always that easy or natural to keep trying to do certain things that you have to do to protect yourself, even though I know I should. But anyway, at a bare minimum, I'm always calling my angels and things, and I get signs all the time. So I get even bored with signs now. That's the thing. You've got this beautiful blessing, and you still get fed up with it. But the best thing any of us can do is raise our vibration, but don't be naive to think just because you're high vibrational, you cannot be targeted. So effectively, with the mediumship thing I spoke about there, where I had that attachment, apparently what had happened is, because Archangel Michael explained it to the medium who then relayed it to me. Apparently what happened is, back when I come back from holiday, or just as I was coming towards the end of the holiday, I had tried to channel and I didn't realize I was doing it. So there's me pursuing answers effectively, and I connected. I opened a channel. So in the astral field, in the astral realm, I was like this massive source of light. It was like I was just glowing. And apparently at that point, a negative entity was in the vicinity and was curious. So it took a peek. And by taking a peek, it realized who I am. Now, I've got a big destiny, and I know I have, but it effectively, it put a target on my back. And they have like tracers. So even if you remove the entity, they're still aware of who you are on that side of things now, and they will keep trying to get back to you. So yeah, that was then attached to me when I was trying, and I didn't realize what I was doing. So what I should have been doing was, if I'd known about it, call my angels and spirit guides close. I should have then put a shield of light around me, you know, so I am protected. So it's like a force field around me, effectively. And I know some people are going to think this is like something out of sci-fi films and things, but this is literally how we're existing, because fundamentally we're spirits having a human experience. So part of our soul is back at source. Part of it is, we're attached to this vessel. And there's a link between the two, and there's a space between the two. So when we come out of that and we try to embrace our connection back at source, which is our most powerful and divine side, there's a space in between, and then it figures its way to attach to you now. So they're quite benevolent. I can't remember exactly what happened to that. I'm not sure I can't remember if Archangel Michael destroyed it or just sent it back, because he can destroy entities. He has that power. But it's about the right thing all the time. You know, is that thing ever going to stop? Is it, is it just malevolent? You've got to send it back, and even dark entities have to get punished by the higher ranking ones if they step out of line. You know, so everything has an order to it. So quite mental, really. But yeah, there's just things we should be doing at the very minimum. So even if you're not quite sure, it's like it doesn't hurt to be careful, does it? So even if you're thinking, oh, this is mental, like, that's crazy, it's like, well, up to you. Consider your life and how you're living and the people attached around you, and think about all the things that are happening, and think about, is it out of the realm of possibility? Because, it's up to you, people how they live. You can live in ignorance, or you can live in open-mindedness. If you're open-minded, it's not going to hurt, is it really, to just start thinking about having a shield of light around you? Is it really going to? It doesn't take that long. And calling your guides and angels close to protect you, it literally takes seconds. But if you just want to step away from that, you don't want to do all that things, and just watch your life unfold, and you probably find it's quite chaotic at times. But anyway, to each their own. So, you learn your lessons for sure. But anyway, that's my point really, is that some people get reactive, I think, personally, because they've got negative attachments to them, and most just completely wouldn't even know it's there. And here they are, just walking around oblivious. And then they feel righteous in their argument, of course. But that's because the attachment is probably speaking on their behalf, or instigating that. So the point there is, it's like, be picky about who you interact with in your daily life, and who you decide to be friends with, and where you place your life. Because if you place it around the wrong people, you don't even know who's dancing around them. So that's why it's serious. That's why it's important. So when people see my story and you hear me and they say, I don't even want friends. I like my own peace and sanctity. I like to do my own thing. I like my independence. In certain ways, it's safer like that too. It's better for my mind and my. For me personally, it's like, I don't need that stuff, because I take it serious. So I take my spirituality serious. I'm always growing, evolving, and I said that in another video. Like, if I can't, people either outgrow me, or I outgrow them, or there's usually an issue. And that's just how it is. But it's like I'm not going to keep, like, for instance, I'm not going to keep people familiar with me around me if they're not going to, like, elevate their life and focus on their growth and just keeps giving in to toxic tendencies, because who knows what attachments they have around them. And I'm not entertaining that. So you either like, people around me, you either take life seriously, you focus on your growth, your goals and things. You're living a balanced life, a healthy life in that sense, or you live a chaotic, toxic life. But those that are living chaotic, toxic lives will not stay in my life. You can dance with the devil. You can dance with demons. It's like, you do what you want to do. I live my life with the angels. That's literally what it is. So when people come out of the woodwork and start getting mental about people who are doing acts of service, of positive service, you got to wonder why they're getting so bent out of shape. Like, I can understand being frustrated to a degree, but why get that angry? Why not even be them that are angry?